Last year at the 1965 Product Roundtable, we announced a Cadillac exclusive in the tilt and telescope steering wheel. And this year, Cadillac presents another steering exclusive on all but the 75s and commercial chassis. Variable ratio steering, which we expect will be 1966's greatest contribution to better handling. What variable ratio steering means to the driver is first that he will be required to turn his steering wheel less to get the steering response he wants and needs while maneuvering in traffic or parking the car. To turn the road wheels from stop to stop requires only 2.4 turns of the steering wheel compared with 3.6 turns of the steering wheel in 1965, more than one full turn less. We can better understand the term variable ratio steering by looking inside the gear. We can see that the center tooth on the sector is quite a bit longer than the other teeth. As the rack turns the sector beyond this on-center point, the steering ratio will change. It will take less turning of the steering wheel and movement of the rack piston to achieve the same response at the road wheel. As a matter of fact, the ratio varies from approximately 16:1 on-center to a ratio of only 11.5:1 at full turn. A 16:1 ratio means that you must turn the steering wheel 16 degrees to develop a 1-degree turn at the road. This variable ratio provides a second advantage to the driver. In addition to improved steering response, he gets a better steering effort build-up feel. And a third benefit for the driver, he is able to turn the wheel faster with less effort on his part due to the improved power steering pump, which provides increased flow and output pressure. Pump pressure limits have been raised to about 1,400 psi, requiring an oil cooler. Before we leave steering, the pitman shaft needle bearing has been redesigned so that it has a lip on one end, which is retained by a boss in the gear housing. This will keep the bearing from working along the shaft toward the gear as a result of the stronger pressures exerted against the pitman shaft by variable ratio steering. In addition to a new kind of steering, we promised to explain a battery you can look in the eye. The battery's eye is located on the second cell cap from the positive post. And if you took the eye out, you would see that it is atop a small plastic rod. By means of light refraction, this rod will cause the eye in the cell to be black if the level of the electrolyte is up to normal, and to be a kind of off-white if water should be added. It is not necessary to remove any caps to check the fluid level. For further protection of the battery case, the hold-down retainer has been redesigned so that it rides against the radiator cradle rather than the case. And to further protect the owner against the cold, from the moment he gets in his Cadillac on a chilly morning, seat warmers are available as a 1966 optional feature. Seat warmers will be available as a factory-installed accessory on all cars. Front seat warmers available for all cars except the 75s, which will have rear seat warmers available instead. The actual heating elements will be carbon cloth pads located in seat cushions and backs. Each seat has a warmer pad in the back and in the cushion. Each pad has a ground and a positive lead. In this extreme close-up, you can see the pad's black carbon threads. These carbon threads heat up almost instantaneously when the switch is turned on. Front seat warmers have an on-off switch located on the left of the steering column lower cover. When the switch is turned on, battery current energizes a relay circuit, shown here in white. The relay is located on the right wheel dust shield. When current flows through the relay, it creates a magnetic field which closes the relay points, energizing the circuit to the seat warmer carbon pads. This circuit is shown in color. Note that there is a thermal switch connecting the relay to the heater water circuit. This switch is actually located between the water pump and heater core. The thermal switch is designed to open when engine water temperature reaches approximately 150 degrees Fahrenheit. automatically shutting off the current and the seat warmers. When the water gets this hot, the heater itself will be ready to supply all the warmth needed to keep the people comfortable. Note that there is an on-off switch lead to protect that circuit, and also a 30-amp fuse which is located on the rear of the right wheel dust shield. Rear seat warmer is very similar. The rear seat warmer switch, however, is a spring-loaded momentary on switch located above the right armrest. When it is turned on, an indicator light near the switch glows to signal that the system is operating. As you can see, the relay points are closed and the thermal switch is closed, completing the circuit to the seat pads and the indicator light. Again, when engine water reaches approximately 150 degrees, the thermal switch in the heater water circuit opens, shutting off current to the seat warmer pads and turning off the indicator light. Rear seat warmers are not switched off manually. Not only will we keep the customer warmer this year, we'll cool him somewhat better too. Our automatic climate control, the name has changed, you notice, is basically the same. But in the maximum cooling position, there'll be increased power supplied to the blower, accomplished by adding a relay that bypasses the resistance in the power servo. There'll be more constant temperature in outside temperature conditions, accomplished by increasing the resistance in the ambient sensor. The compressor pulley's diameter has been decreased, which gives us a greater cooling capacity at lower engine speeds. There are new hoses in the system to give us more reliability. There's still more comfort available to the owner, with the headrests offered as optional equipment on any front seat. And on the passenger side bucket seat, a reclining seat option is available in conjunction with the headrest. The release lever for the reclining mechanism, which will tilt the seat back rearward as much as 30 degrees, is located on the right side of the seat. You can see 1966 in all the interiors, in the thinner, more sculptured, sportier bucket seats, for example. In the new series identification plaque now located in front of the passenger, and something very fine and new, the AM/FM stereo radio, optionally available on all models except the Fleetwood 75, featuring separate dual channels and 4 speakers, 2 front speakers, 1 at each end of the instrument panel cover, and 2 rear speakers, 1 at each corner of the parcel shelf, or behind the rear seat on convertibles. A new ignition switch that has a mechanical stop added, making it necessary to push the key in slightly in order to turn to the accessory position. Ignition switch terminals have been redesigned into single-piece terminals, slipped through a bakelite insulator. This eliminates the rivet formerly used to hold the terminal to the contact, and therefore eliminates the possibility of the rivets coming loose to create a hot key condition. 3-spoke steering wheels are standard on all models, and the steering wheel shroud has a new finish to eliminate glare from reflected sunlight. The cruise control cable has a snap-on mounting, and adjustment of the cable, which is preset at the factory, should not be required unless a new cable is installed. Other 1966 features include a penetration-resistant windshield with an inner layer of glass bonded between 2 outer laminates of glass. And what we're pointing out here is the new roof rail weather strip for all except 75s. Being black, it's hard to see by camera, but we've combined the middle and outer weather strip lips into one big lip to provide for better alignment and reduce wind noise. Rear seat belts will be standard on all cars. Padded sun visors will be standard on all cars. And a hazard warning system is available, whereby a car on the side of the highway can warn other cars of its presence by flashing all front and rear turn signal lights simultaneously, along with the turn signal indicator lights and a red flashing pilot on the switch. And something extra in the engine compartment, particularly for California servicemen. On California registered cars only, an air injection reactor system, AIR, will be installed in '66. Purpose of AIR is to remove more of the unburned hydrocarbons and carbon monoxide from exhaust air which it does by injecting fresh air into the exhaust ports to further oxidize or burn out these elements before they leave the exhaust system. Air is supplied by a belt-driven air pump mounted on the lower left of the engine front cover and the front of the left exhaust manifold. This pump, which contains a rotor with 3 fiberglass vanes, runs dry, requiring no lubrication. It takes air from the clean side of the carburetor air cleaner and delivers it into the exhaust port of each cylinder through 2 air injection manifolds with 4 feeder tubes each. These manifolds are made of sheet metal tubing and are slip-fit with ring-type packing glands into specially adapted cylinder heads. Manifolds are removable for service. Each manifold is held in place by 2 spring clips secured by rocker arm cover screws. Each of the 8 feeder tubes delivers air through drilled passages leading into one of the 8 exhaust ports. When the air mixes with the hot exhaust gases leaving the cylinder after combustion, it causes further oxidation of the raw, unburned hydrocarbons and carbon monoxide. Each air injection manifold has a screw-on one-way check valve to prevent the hot exhaust gases from backing up through the AIR manifolds and hoses, which might otherwise happen in the event of pump belt failure, abnormally high exhaust system pressures, or ruptures in one of the air hoses. AIR engines use an adapted Carter carburetor that has vernier-type idle mixture screws, providing for a finer adjustment, and special metering rods and jets, and also a special intake air bleed valve mounted on the back of the carburetor, which supplies an extra charge of air on sudden deceleration to prevent backfire. Be sure to check your completely new 1966 shop manual for the special idle speed and mixture adjustment for AIR cars, which should be brought in for this adjustment at the first 1,000 miles, and for the revised idle speed and mixture adjustment for all other cars, and for the service procedures affected by the revision of the engine front cover to accommodate the new air pump. New replacement recommendations for the PCV valve every 12,000 miles, the carburetor air cleaner element every 24,000 miles, and engine crankcase oil every 60 days but never to exceed 6,000 miles. The oil filter, incidentally, has a new gasket that will make it easier to remove. And the all-new fuel pump is easier to service, for it is serviceable only as a complete unit. Well, we could go on, gentlemen, talking about the new, the improved, the revised, the re-engineered for some time yet. We could talk about some part, some unit, some system, some feature, something made better, about a comfort, a convenience, a durability, a performance, a quality changed in some slight or major way to be superior to what it was. And if we waited for all the improvements to stop so we could sum them all up, we would never be done. That's the truth about the 1966 Cadillac. And that's the truth about Cadillac leadership. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but a Cadillac. Nothing but a Cadillac.